Welcome to Parenthood Bites, the podcast where we explore life as a parent in tech. I'm your host, Chow, and I have over 15 years of experience in tech, and I'm also currently working as a career coach. I'm the proud mother of 3 incredible boys. In each episode, we have an inspiring guest who will share their remarkable story. You'll find their wisdom and insights both relatable and enriching, because after all, we're all in this parenting journey together. So grab your favorite drink, get cozy, and let's dive into today's episode. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 35 of Parenthood Bites. We're here today with Ebenezer Anjorin, who is a lead product manager at Google. Hi Ebenezer, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Excited to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. I'm excited to talk to you. How are you doing this week? Do you have any plans for the weekend?
Yes, I do, because the weather is actually, really nice now. So I'm gonna hopefully go ride my bike, and I like to take my son with me as well. So I'll probably try to get some riding, and then I also have some just chores around the house that I've been pushing that I probably need to get to. So that's probably gonna be my weekend.
Nice. Do you have your son on a little seat on the bike behind you, or does he have a bike connected? How does he ride with you?
Yeah, so I used to have one of those ones, like the trailer, the one at the back, but I don't use it anymore because for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think he was actually enjoying it because he doesn't actually have a nice view of the trail. So I got this one is actually in front of me when I'm riding, so like it feels like he's riding as well because it's much closer to the handlebars. So I think for him it's good, and for me it's also better as well because he's right in front of me, and I don't have to worry that he's behind me. Yes, that's one I've been using for about since I turned one actually, and it's gonna be 3 this year. So for the last 2 years really, but yeah, but I do have the trailer one. I just don't use it that I don't use it that much.
That's really neat. I didn't realize they had the ones that go in the front because then you can keep an eye on him.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, yeah. I think they work mostly for like mountain bikes, which is what we tend to ride the most. So yeah, but you can probably get them for other kinds of bikes as well. But yeah, I use that on my mountain bike, and they work really nice. I like it.
That's awesome. So I like to start with asking, how many kids do you have and how old are they?
So I have, I guess, 2 kids, I should say. So I have one boy who is, like I said, is gonna turn 3, and then I have another boy on the way. So I guess I don't know, is that 1.5 or 2? I don't know. Yeah, yeah. But I have a boy, and I have another one who is coming soon.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much.
When is the expected date?
In June, I believe. Yeah, sometime in June. If it doesn't come too early or too late, so should be, about June.
Nice. That's right about when this episode goes out. So, so by then we'll say 2.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it will be 2. It will be 2 by then. Yes, exactly. It will be 2.
Yeah. What brought you to tech?
Oh wow, that's an interesting question. I mean, let's see, it's a pretty long story, but I think the short answer for me was mostly games. So like my dad, and I used to be a sales manager for Michelin tires back in Nigeria, where I'm from, and I remember, when I was in, I guess we'll call it primary school back in Nigeria, I would go to my dad's office and he had a computer, and I was mostly just like curious about playing games on it, like games like Dangerous Dave and like Prince of Persia, like games like that. I think at the time, because I don't know, it was like what, Windows 95 or whatever this computer ran. Like you kind of like some of those games, you even had to use like like a command line to even be able to run them, and you had to find the floppy disk. And so for me, it was really just about like I got into computers primarily because I just wanted to play games, and then from there, I just I kind of started to learn different things, and I just realized I really actually I like playing games, but then also kind of like writing software and doing other stuff. So I think, yeah, for me that was sort of how the journey started. It was mostly sort of play games on my dad's PC, and then my dad eventually got a PC for the house, which is it's like it was a Pentium 286. Like looking back, you realize like the entire hard drive was like 2 gig, and the RAM was like I don't know 64 MB. But yeah, that was it for me. I was just fascinated, and I was stoked on computers, and yeah, I've mostly done computers since then. So yeah, so I was kind of lucky I started very early, and since then I've just loved it.
That's awesome. I mean, we can't compare with the stuff that kids have today, all their electronics. But I remember too when my dad brought home that first computer, it was like the best thing ever, even before we got all the other games, right? When we just found Solitaire and
Right.
Minesweeper,
Yeah, I know.
right? And I could change the deck of the Solitaire, the
Hmm.
design. I was like, oh my God, this is the best. So many hours spent.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, it's crazy when you look back just how I mean, just look at smartphones, how powerful they are compared to, like massive, massive computers these days, even with the monitors, and they're just like how huge they were behind the screen. So yeah, I mean, it's just, it's amazing. I think for kids now, I mean, just the kind of technology that's available and like what they're going to be able to use even next 5, 10, 15 years is just absolutely remarkable.
Absolutely. So, how many years were you in tech before you became a parent?
I mean, let's see. I would say maybe about the decade, a little bit over 10 years. Because yeah, I had my boy, what 2021. Just coming out of the pandemic. So yeah, probably yeah, over a decade at a time.
So, you were working for a little
Yeah.
bit, getting used to that and stuff, and then having a kid. Sometimes I wish I had worked for a little bit longer before I had a kid because it disrupts everything, right? It just changes the flow of everything.
No, that's true. Yeah, yeah. Especially for women, I think that's a big deal for like, and even though maybe things are getting better now with policies at workplace, but I mean that's definitely I think something a lot of men probably take for granted because it probably doesn't have as much impact on career progression as it does for women. So because I know that's a conversation that my wife and I definitely had about like, "Oh, I'm gonna take time off. What does that mean? Like, I'm having a really good time at work now, and I'm gonna have to take all this time off, and like what does that mean for me? So that's unfortunately one of the, I guess, the things in society that we're still working through, I think.
Yeah, it is getting better
Yep.
with longer leaves for the fathers
Yep.
too, but to your point, not quite to the point where it could be. So, what was the parental leave policy like with your first son, and what is it going to be like with your second?
Luckily for me, I was, it's getting funny. So I am at Google now, but I was also at Google at the time when I had my first son, even though like I left for a short period of time. But I think Google then and now still has a pretty good policy for both moms and dads. And so I think for me at the time, if I remember, I think I had like maybe 3 months or something like that. Because I remember like what we did was obviously when the baby came, my wife had to just she had to take time, and I was still working. And then I think what we did was by the time a mat leave was about to end, I think she had to take some extra unpaid, maybe month or two. And then when our leave was essentially over was when I started mine, because just to give us sort of coverage. So we didn't take it at the same time.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, so I think that gave me about 3 months or something like that. But of course, yeah, I probably took maybe a week or two just about when the baby came initially. Then I deferred like the chunk of the leave. And then when my wife was about to go back to work was when I started mine. So yeah, I think it's roughly about 12 to 14 weeks or something like that. I think is the time you get a Google, I think.
And is that the same for the second child?
I don't know, but I'm gonna find out soon. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't checked.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta find
yeah,
out.
but I will find out very, very soon. I haven't looked it up. I mean, I just know in general, like the police at Google, I think they're pretty good. But yeah, I don't even know if there's a difference between like your first and your second child. I guess I just assume that's probably the same every time. But actually, I need to go verify that because again, I'm gonna have to know, sooner than later.
Yeah, it should be the same unless like maybe they've upgraded the policy, if there's any
Yeah.
changes there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely possible because I think, one of the things I also learned, when we had my first boy was because my wife had to get a C-section. And I think because she had a C-section, it was a bit different than without a C-section, which wasn't, obviously I didn't know that at the time. So, yes, I think she got maybe some, I don't know, extra week or two because of that. So, yeah, there were just details like that you don't know until I guess you have to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because those are all like potentially things that could happen. So you don't
Yep.
really read up on it. And then,
Right, right. Exactly, exactly.
so are you planning to sequence it this time as well, where like your wife takes some time, then you take some time, or
I think so. I mean, because it worked for us quite well the last time. I mean, I think for us also, we didn't have a ton of family here. So I think what we did last time is my wife's mom came over. I think she was here for the first month because she's not retired yet also. So, she had to go back to Nigeria. So, yes, I think, for the first month, I'm probably going to probably do the same. I'll probably take maybe a week off, a few days before the baby comes and a few days afterwards. And then with that, I think my wife should hopefully, have a mom over. So that will probably help for that first month. And then, yeah, I think we'll probably end up doing the same thing, and I'll probably defer mine until, either a couple of months in, and she's sort of getting ready to go back, and then I'll take time off. So yeah, I think we'll probably, end up doing the same thing because I think it worked quite well the last time. So we'll see. But again, I think we're going to be flexible and just kind of see, just see how things go. And if the situation changes, then we will have to adapt appropriately.
yeah, that makes sense. And the only difference is right now you also have an older kid at home as well, right? Or does he go to daycare?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it goes to daycare. I mean, honestly, I don't even know if that's gonna be, like if that makes sense easier or not. It's gonna be my first time, right? So I don't know. Because I feel like for him right now, I mean, he's the only kid and he gets all the attention. So I think now that there's gonna be another kid who's gonna require even more attention. I'm not sure. Different folks have said different things, and so I don't know what to really expect. So I think I don't know if that's going to make life easy for us or if it's going to just add to it because maybe he's now acting up and seeking more attention and all of that stuff. But he does go to daycare now, so at least that will probably just be the same routine. So, I drop him off in the morning and I pick him usually around, 4 or 5. So, yeah, but we'll see. But I think that's something one of the things that I'm sort of looking forward to see. I mean, because, it's 3, so, like I'm not even sure if he understands what that means yet to have a sibling and being a big brother. So I think that's one of the things I'm looking forward to, just see how he adapt.
Yeah, that's really neat to see how they are. And also, like, every kid is different, right? So, how someone else's
Hmm.
kid is going to be very different. I think, a lot of people read books and all of that to prepare, and it's just whatever makes people comfortable. For us, I'm a really bad procrastinator, so I just never ended up getting books. And I just told the kids, like, hey, there's someone here that's going to play with you. And, like, you got to take care of them too, And thankfully,
Yeah.
they didn't do anything crazy, but you never know.
Oh, you do never know. I mean, yeah, with kids, it's just you absolutely never know. I mean, I think, yeah, we try to do something similar. Like, I know my wife is always like, baby brother, and it's like, yeah, baby brother, but I just don't even know. Like, I just don't know if he even knows what that means. And it's one thing to say something, is another to really understand what he's saying. So I think he knows there's something called a brother and something probably in his mom's belly, and like. I think he kind of gets that, but like, does he really understand it is what I don't know. So, but again, like obviously, he's gonna have to adjust eventually. But yeah, I think there's something coming, but I just don't know if it's registered yet. Like I'm getting another brother that looks like me, and it's gonna run around as well, and it's gonna require attention and split attention. Like I just obviously I'm pretty sure it doesn't probably hasn't registered all of that. So gonna have to learn, which is fun. I think it's probably gonna be good for him anyway. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's of course just very different when the baby does arrive. Then it's going to be a
Hmm.
real
Oh
living
yeah, I mean
being
it's
in
yeah,
front of
it
him.
is it is real at that point for sure. And, yeah, it's real for everybody. So I think we would have to adjust. But I mean, like yeah, I know friends have said like the second one is usually easier because you've been through it before and you're not freaking out. Because I remember like when my first boy, I would just check in, is it breathing? Is it still alive? Like yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you can't even sleep well. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna be more relaxed this time, or I'm still gonna be a little bit like, can we check if he's still breathing and all of that stuff. Which I definitely did a lot. With my first boy. So we'll see. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. I think I actually enjoyed those first few months, even though they were definitely stressful. But like for me, it was just something special about it. I think it really helped me also. And also, I've been coming out of the pandemic at the time. That was just a hopefully once in a lifetime experience. So for me at the time, and also, I mean, yeah, I think his birth was also just, like I said, my wife had to get a C-section, so there was some drama at the end. And I guess I was just so relieved he was here, and yeah, it was just a good time anyway, because I would just carry him every night. And so yeah, but yeah, it was a good time. So I think it wasn't, even though it was stressful, it was a great time for me as well. So yes, I don't know what the second one if I'm gonna be more like, just whatever, do your thing. Yeah, because my wife is already saying that I'm not, like my first boy, even before he was born, I would read to him, I would talk to him. Like I'm definitely not doing that as much as I did with my first boy. So I just don't know if it's not like, like being there, done that, or if it's like, there's also just a bunch of stuff going on right now. So I don't know, but yeah, I think I'm definitely sort of looking forward to what's going to be different this time, just because I think I was a little bit more into it the first time, and I did a lot of things that I'm not doing as much as I did then, which yeah. So we'll see. But my wife keeps reminding me like, you used to do all of this stuff, and you're not doing it that much this time. So which yeah, yeah, I know, but yeah, we'll see.
You'll probably do different things, with this one,
Hmm.
and eventually you'll
Yeah.
find like other things that you do special to this one, and then other things to that one.
Yeah, no, hopefully, yeah, yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think that's most likely what's gonna happen. Because, yeah, I think they just come in like different times in obviously in our lives and also just in the world as well. So it's definitely, yeah, they're just different. So, and I'm sure they're gonna have different personalities eventually. So I'm gonna have to adjust and calibrate accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a first time with the oldest and a youngest, not just with the one, right? And so
Right.
it'll be so
Exactly.
different and it'll be just a lot of fun. Of course, a lot of work, but a lot of fun. And your
Yeah.
son will have someone to play with too, and that's super awesome too.
Oh yeah, I mean that's I think for me, I mean obviously, and that's that's still several years. That's one of the things I'm just excited about. Is like when, well, actually a couple of things, but like one is when they're both sort of old enough that they can play with each other, and then like when they're old enough that we can all do, like we can all go mountain biking together, because I feel like that's probably, I don't know if it's a dream, but that's for me, that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to, just when I can just go ride bikes with my two boys and we can go play soccer together. I'm just looking for even play video games together. Like I would say that's definitely just, yeah, like one of the things that I look forward to now, like that just I'm super excited about. And obviously, like now, because my wife also rides, and I think the best time for us is when we go out on the trail and I'm on my bike with my son and my wife is riding as well. That's just some of the best things we do together as a family. So I think having another boy, be able to join the party, I think I'm very excited, about that. But obviously, I'm sure it's gonna be maybe another 2 3 years before it can start doing things with us. But yeah, I think I'm so looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be so much fun, and it'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, no, they grow quick. Yeah, they definitely grow quick. So yeah.
Yeah, when that time comes, you're gonna be like, I miss when they were little. I could just, carry them to go with me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, people say, I think my wife even says that. For me, I don't know, maybe just my personality. I don't think I ever wish, like, I wish my son would, like, I wish when he was younger. I don't know. I think I'm more like, I think for me, I'm probably more of a in the future than like now I wish he was maybe a little bit older because he can, like, he can ride on his own. And yeah, so I think yeah, like, I'm more about maybe the future than I am about, like, oh, I wish, nah,
Mm.
like all the younger days are to me are like over. I don't miss them, but I also don't like I don't wish for them. They just like we leave those, that's gone. So I'm looking forward to the future really.
Yeah, yeah, and they can do more things with you as they
Right,
get
right,
older. It's interesting with
right.
my older kids, like now I can like have real conversations with them. We can talk about real life events, talk about movies, talk about things that I'm just like, whoa,
No, that's amazing.
yeah, like
Yeah, that's amazing.
it
Yeah,
gets there before you know it, like I said.
yeah. No, yeah, I'm looking forward to that because my wife, she's like sometimes like it can seem like he's old enough, like he knows or he can respond. Yeah, because I think I have these habits of like what are you doing? I feel like that's the first thing I say, when he's doing something. Like, what are you doing? Like, 'cause I guess I'm trying to get him to explain what he's doing. Everybody's like, oh, well, he doesn't. You're talking to him like he can actually tell you like what he's doing, what he's doing. So yeah, so hopefully we can start having this conversations soon. And because sometimes I'm just like, what's going on in your head, Mister? Like
Soon
So
enough.
yeah, but that's yeah, that's I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And then when they get to teenage years, they still don't want to tell you what's in their head. At that point, they just go
I've
in
heard,
their room
yeah.
and close the door.
I know, I was talking to one of my colleagues. He has two kids, a boy and a girl, and they're both teenagers. And he was telling me something I just thought was funny. He said he had a power outage for like a couple of days, and I was like, obviously that sucked, but like that was helpful because we get to spend so much time together because there was no power. I guess they couldn't be on screens or TVs, and it's like thank God you have to eat because 'cause that's usually when I get to see them because otherwise they just want to be in their rooms or do their own thing. Which I'm like, wow, that's scary, but I guess that's just what it is. And it's like, thankfully for him, like, he's an engineer and his son, I guess, is into coding as well. So it's like, yeah, like his son comes to him, for like coding stuff sometimes. But like, beside that, it's like sometimes they just want to do their own thing. And like, I'm like, wow, okay, I guess, I guess that's what happens when you have teenagers.
Yeah, it's an adjustment later on, but you have a long time, a long ways to go.
Oh
So,
yeah, we do. Yeah, enjoy. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to enjoy it now. I mean, I think kind of, like on that last topic as well, like, like the time goes by quick. I was talking to another friend of mine, and we are just kind of doing the math. Like, these kids are gonna go to college, I don't know, 16, 17. So if you really think of how much time you get to spend with them, it's actually not a lot. It's not a lot. So and I think for me, that's also just a reminder of maximizing just the amount of time that I get with my son because yeah, it's actually not a lot. Because even before they go to college, they start getting to that age where like they just want to do their own thing, and your influence on them, I guess, just starts to reduce gradually. So yeah, I mean, it's not, yeah, like it's not really like a lot of time. I guess that's a bummer in some way, but that's just life, I suppose.
Yeah, but I think like, eventually they come back in different ways and we have different relationships with them. I've interviewed folks who have kids who are adults now and they have so much fun with their adult kids. They're like, it's just like having another best friend. So I think this whole
Mm,
journey, there's just a lot to look forward to in every milestone.
yeah, yeah, no.
Yeah. So with your son turning 3, you said he goes to daycare. What are the hours he's at daycare for?
It mostly gets in about sort of between 9 and 10, and sometimes I drop him earlier, but like on average is there, 9:30, and I often pick him up around 5:30. So yeah, it's just there pretty much the whole day really. But I think they have activities, they have like naps. So it's probably having naps between like 12 and 1, something like that. But he likes it there. I mean, it's a really good daycare. I think they keep him busy, because he likes book. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's yeah. So like he's there, Mondays to Fridays, and a weekend is stuck with us. And yeah, if the weather is good enough, I mean, because it like two things he likes being outside, and he likes books. So if the weather is good, then we just often take him to the park. We go ride bikes, or we go hike. But he just likes being in nature. He likes foraging around. Just yeah. So he likes that a lot. But yeah, I think if the weather is not good, maybe we're just too tired. Then yeah, it's just at home, and now you have to keep him busy and entertained, for the whole day, which can be challenging sometimes.
Definitely, because they have so much energy. And so sometimes we have to
They
take
do.
turns
They
to.
really do. They really do. Yeah, and in fact, we just got him a trampoline just because of like, just jump your heart out, like yeah, because yeah, I mean, you kind of, sometimes yeah, because I'd rather have him do that than just sit in front of his
Of
screen or
course.
something. So yeah, just have him in the backyard, and he just jumps and jumps and jumps and jumps until he's tired, and that's good for everybody. So yeah.
So would you recommend everybody should get a trampoline for their young kids?
For me, it's been useful for sure. I mean, obviously, different kids are into different things, but my boy, he doesn't like staying in the house really. So obviously, yeah, and obviously, I can take him to the park every time. So and he also likes it. So I think it just worked out quite well because I think my wife eventually decided we should get that because we would just jump on the bed, jump on the sofa. So okay, it sounds like you want to jump. So if you want to jump,
Go for it.
we get your trampoline to jump. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's worked quite well. I mean, I think I should get a really good one. And they even have these indoor trampoline ones that my wife wanted to get. I'm like, no, like my house is already messy enough. I don't, like this kid is taking over everywhere. So yeah, so we did get one, that goes in the backyard. It's quite big. It can easily fit multiple kids. It's well designed. It's very safe. So it's just there jumping, and I mean, usually I'll kind of just hang around with him and just watch him. And sometimes I jump in and I jump myself, as sometimes as well. But yeah, I think it's good. It's safe. I think one of those kind of things where it's good anyway because it's not like a gadget or a screen. They're just playing, which I think kids should play. So I think any form of play that's good and safe and they like, I think it's fair game.
Yeah, that's a great point. And like, I hear you about kids taking over the whole house. For us, it started off just one room, one corner.
Oh man, yeah, it is. I mean, it is. Yeah, just yeah, yeah. No, they just get stuff. I mean, yeah, I think they get stuff. My living room, his room, just the toys, books everywhere. It's just I'm like, dude, like like not even 3 yet. You have so many, you have too many stuff. Like there's bikes, the Strider bike. I got him like a balance bike. And my house is a mess. Yeah, and I just have one, like holy cow. So no, they definitely have stuff, but I'm also happy for him as well, right? Because I think it's a privilege that you can get all the stuff and keep him busy and all of that stuff. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think because we had our kids close together, we didn't throw away the younger kids' toys, because we're like, okay, the younger kids are going to play with it. So then, like, we just kept getting more toys, and then the younger toys, we just kept keeping them. And so,
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think in some way, I mean, well, I wasn't really like, for my second kid, I wasn't really thinking about if I wanted a boy or girl, but in some way, I'm actually glad I'm getting a boy because I feel like, yeah, I mean, he's just gonna use a lot of what his brother has anyway. So at least I didn't expect to have to buy too many things, if at all. One of the things that I did for my boy that I absolutely recommend, so there's this brand called Lovevary. I'm not sure how people pronounce them, but they're absolutely awesome. So they basically, it's like a subscription service. They send you play kits, like, I don't know, every quarter or something like that. Like basically as as they reach different, age range, like when they're 6 months, 9 months, and so on and so forth. So for me, that's been super helpful because I still buying toys every now and then, but I really don't buy toys because I just wait for them to send me the age appropriate toy, and that's been super helpful. And I think I'm just boxing them up because I know, when my new boy comes at the right age, I'm just gonna open up the same toy. I'm not gonna buy him anything. So yeah, I think it's super nice to be able to pass things down because that's just good too. Because you wanna, because like a lot of those kids' toy are also plastic junk anyway. They just end up like polluting everywhere once you throw them away. So I think being able to reuse them, if you can give them away, I think that's it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. And also because they're so little, they don't really break the toy or have enough strength to do it. And so it's almost new when it goes to the next kid.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
How has your work life changed since you became a parent?
How has it changed? I mean, it's definitely changed, right? Because I think in a lot of ways, right? For one, there's just some things that I have to factor into my day now. So even when my day starts, I have to, like I said, wake up, like getting ready, dropping my daycare. I also have to, like move meetings around and block my calendar for in the evening when I have to pick him up. So, at the very minimum, those are just things I have to do now every weekday that kind of, impact like when I can take meetings in the morning or when I can take meetings in the evening. During the day, not so much, because, isn't daycare. Of course, every now and then, you get an email from the daycare saying, there's something going on, the kids need to stay home. So now, now you have to then figure out like, oh, you like, talk to my wife, like, what's the day look like tomorrow? Like, now you're trying to negotiate, like, who is gonna, watch him. So yeah, so I think it's just one of those things that you kind of have to deal with. But I think for me overall, it's been pretty positive actually. I think I was saying maybe some of the best moments of my life right now, just in terms of the discipline, in terms of the focus. Like before, I used to be like a night person. Like I'm one of those guys who would just like walk, into the midnight, sometimes one. I just never sleep early, and then I wake up like 8. But now I can't do that anymore, right? Because like I need to drop my boy at school. So so now I've been going to bed early, waking up earlier, sometimes 5:30, and that's been super good now because now we just like it's just a good routine because I can wake up, I can do my exercise in the morning, which I usually can't do if I wake up much later because again I doesn't have time to be ready and then get my son ready and take him to school. So I think in some way that's just been a blessing for me, just almost like a good forcing function for me to go to bed early, wake up early, several hours while my wife and my son are still sleeping, and I can get some good exercise in, and then I can just start my day early. So I think like that's just one example of something I think it's an extremely just a positive side effect for me. And then I think like one of the challenges that I will say is obviously because I'm in tech and and I work from home sometimes and I'm in front of my computer. That's kind of tough because I'm always saying like no TV, no TV, And then for him right now, my son basically like anything has a screen is a TV for him. So it's like it goes the screen a TV, the phone TV, the actual TV a TV. Like just to him, anything is like screen is like TV. So sometimes it's like TV, and I'm like no TV, but he doesn't understand that like the TV I'm looking at is actually I'm watching. I'm not like So for me that's always like a challenge sometimes because at the end of the day it doesn't matter what you tell them. I think it matters more what they see, and I think like my wife and I try to get him not to spend much time on like in front of a screen, but then it's just me in front of a screen, which I have to do, right? Because it's my job, right? I have two screens on my desk, and it's like, how come you have so much? Of course, it's not saying that, but I'm sure you might be wondering, like, you have so much screen, so why are you saying no TV, no TV? Like, you have all these TVs, right? So, that's definitely something I think kind of a bit of a challenge because obviously I think, when he's older, probably understand, okay, like, yes, this is quote TV, but like, I'm actually working. I'm not like just playing around and stuff. So yeah, I think these are definitely some ways that I think it's just changed from a scheduling standpoint, but also logistics and also just thinking about I guess like what I'm trying to model to him and all of that stuff. So, but it's fun sometimes too, because sometimes I'm on calls and he walks into my office and I try to get him to say hello to people on the calls. Overall, it's been positive for me. But again, just one of those things that you have to obviously it's a big change, and I think especially if you don't have I think I'm very fortunate that I have a job that's kind of flexible. like I don't have to get to work at a particular time, or so I think yeah, it's a bit easier for me to sort of plan my calendar around my schedule. So for example, like from like 5 to 5:45, I just block my calendar like child pickups, and people just know like don't try to put anything in that block because I'm going to pick up my son. That's just what it is. So yes, I think I don't know, everyone has a luxury, right? Some like some workplaces are still so like super strict. Like if I think you this time, you have to reply like 2 seconds. I mean, that kind of stuff. So I think fortunately, Google and also other companies that have that, most tech companies tend to be pretty flexible, which is super helpful because again, you have to do other things. You have to drop your kid and pick your kid up, and sometimes they can go to school because the teachers got sick and they can come in. There's some flu going on. All these kind of weird things that just pop up every time, and they have to deal with. So just it's the way it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. Or sometimes like all of a sudden someone gets sick and now everyone has to change their schedule and stay home.
Right. And they get sick a lot. They get sick. I mean, yeah, that's the other thing is just how much stuff it brings home from daycare, all kind of flu and fever and all that kind of really weird stuff. So
Yeah, I tell you, when my kids were little, we were always getting sick. Someone in the family was always sick. And I was like, did our immunity just suddenly disappear after we had kids, or what's going on? And then we just found out that's just the thing when they go to daycare or preschool.
yeah,
They just bring in all kinds of germs.
yeah.
So, you talked about like having the boundaries at work and stuff. Did you have to set the expectations when you joined, or did you just update your calendar and block it out and people knew?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was more of the latter. Again, I think it's because the company culture was sort of like that. So, I mean, I didn't have to kind of go around telling colleagues one on one. I think people just know you can read my calendar and you can see I'm going to pick my son. So, like, that's what it is. I mean, obviously, like, if it's something urgent, then yeah, you can ping me and let me know, and I'll let you know if I can plan around it. Every now and then. You might have to tell your reports or tell your manager, if there's something urgent going on. But typically, people can understand because also, other colleagues have kids, so they understand, and people, those that don't have kids also can understand. So I think really it hasn't been something to make a big deal of, I guess. It's just, people know, like 5 p.m., I got to pick my kid. That's what it is. End of story.
Yeah, it's just a normal
Yeah.
thing, and it
Yep.
should be more
It
normalized
should be
here.
right, exactly right. Because, like my 3-year-old is not going to magically get home. I have to go pick him up. So, just it's what it is, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned, some of the things you struggle with in terms of like, screens with your son, but with his current age of being almost 3, what do you struggle with at that current age?
It's a couple of things, yeah. The screen is definitely one. Just I mean, which is kind of weird because like obviously we work in tech and we build all the software and all of that stuff. But I think in a way also we also kind of understand it at some fundamental level. Like I'm a product manager, so I know what goes into building this product and what they're optimizing for and what they're. And it's just my job to think about the pros and cons are, and they're not necessarily good or bad. It's just they just have consequences that you have to kind of think about. So that's definitely one. I mean, I would say the other is also just just managing emotions, his emotions, my emotions. Sometimes you have to kind of really, and I guess one of those things too that I guess just helps you grow as a person because you have to manage your emotions because sometimes it's just so difficult or it's like because he definitely can't like he runs 100% on emotion right now, right? It's not like the part of the brain that kind of reasons and does logic is not really there for the most part. So sometimes it's just trying to help him manage that, but also reminding myself to stay calm and kind of manage that myself. Because sometimes, you're just like going on, it just kind of drives you crazy, and that can be difficult sometimes. So yeah, I'll say that's the one I'm dealing with. I think another one for me is also just consistency. Like I have a lot of things and I know it's good for him, and then and that I do, but I need to do consistently, and I don't, and yeah, and sometimes it's difficult to kind of beat yourself up. It's like we should be reading every night, and we didn't read tonight, so we should be doing numbers, or we didn't do numbers tonight. Like yeah, so just things like that where like you desire to do it consistently, but maybe sometimes you don't, and that just like so. Yeah, but I would say at a meta level for me is like I always just think about just what are the foundational like fundamental things that I want him to know. I think that's the way I spend most of my energy on is like what are the things I think is critical for him to know, and I spend a lot of time figuring out the right way, the right environment to teach him those things. Because I think at the end of the day, like a lot of people just everybody learns. Like potty training is one where like we try doing potty training and they kind of did okay, but they didn't quite get it on time. And I'm like, that's not a big deal. Like I've never met any adult that doesn't know how to use the potty. Like you just learn those things, right? So
I said the same thing.
yeah, so yeah, yes, I think there's some things that maybe people stress over, but that in the grand scale of things doesn't really matter because you just learn them eventually. The things that I've met a lot of adults, not knowing or not doing, like, these are the things that I worry so much about. Just helping him understand consequences of things, be able to managing his emotions and like thinking critically and asking questions. Like those are the things that I personally care about. Those are the things I value. So yeah, these are most of the things that I'm always like, and again, obviously, am I modeling those things too? Because again, you can tell kids all day long. I think what, because I remember growing up, like one of the things there was a picture that my dad had in the house. It's kind of stuck in my head, and I don't know, I was probably 5, 6, 7, or even younger when my dad got it. But this thing that said "show not tell." It was a picture of of an adult washing their hands, and then trying to show the kid how to wash their hands. And that's something I do with my boy every day. Like it's like once we get back from daycare, the first thing we do is we go to the bathroom and he washes his hands, right? But I also have to wash my hands, with him as well. So yeah, so for me, it's also just figuring out like how am I modeling the things I want him to do, because I think that's the strongest way to get him to learn than just tell him stuff. So yeah, I would say yeah, those are maybe like in broad strokes, like some of the some of the challenges at his age, but there's some things just to just deal with because it's for example, like one of the things that my wife and I joke about is like every time you try to get him to brush, it's a battle. Like, dude, like you brush twice a day for the past 3 years, every single day in, day out. You know what I mean? And it's still gonna be a battle to brush tonight. So just things like that. It's like, like how are we still fighting about brushing? You do this every day, twice, every single day, and it's the battle every time. So just things like that you just deal with, because I guess it's just what it is.
Yeah, even my youngest, he's 8 right now. It's still a battle getting him to take a shower. I'm like, come on, every day. And sometimes I'll ask him, did you take a shower yet? He goes, I don't remember. And I'm like, okay, let's see if your hair is wet. Let's see if your towel is wet. so, so it doesn't go away.
Yeah, okay.
If they want to do something, they'll be the first ones to do it. If they don't want to do it,
Yeah. It's a battle.
good
Yeah,
luck.
no. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, no, it's like that. 'Cause I'm always like, I thought you would be, you would just get the hang of this by now that you do it every day, just accept, right? But it's like, nope, no, I'm still gonna fight every time.
So, this is something we're all working on, but like, what do you do to achieve work-life balance?
Good question. I mean, I don't like. I guess I'm one of those people. I don't think about it like that, to be honest. I just live my life and do the things that I need to do. But to maybe answer in a general sense, like yes, like I definitely find activities that we can do together. Like I said, like we're a biking family, so we ride bikes. Mostly what we do together. Go icon trails. We just mostly find things we all enjoy and can do together, and just do those things. Just do things that I try to find time to do the things that I enjoy, and I try to do it with my family for the most part. I think that's it for me, really.
Nice. And then as they get older, you'll get to do more activities with them. So much to look forward to.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, and sometimes it's challenging because either the weather is not good or you're too tired or whatever. But that's when everyone is the happiest. Is when we're out doing something together. It's just always a blast, and it comes alive. And my wife loves it, and I love it, and yeah, that just works for us really well.
That's really awesome. And so the last question I like to ask is just what's something you would tell someone who's planning to have kids or something you wish you knew when you became a parent?
That's $1 million question. I mean, I think kids are a lot of work, right? That's not a way to put it, right? It's a lot of work, but I think it also, it's a huge responsibility in the sense that, you have someone who is, I guess, really, really dependent on you. You know what I mean? I think it brings a new perspective for you. Like I said, it can actually just bring a lot of discipline, a lot of focus. I think it can actually change people to be better versions of themselves in a way. I think just because, I mean, obviously, I don't think it's like something that's guaranteed to happen, but I think if you let it can have those very positive impacts on you. And I think at the end of the day, yes, it's challenging, but also I think people sometimes make it maybe a bigger issue than it is. I also just I think obviously people have different mindsets and different personalities. Like yes, it's not easy. There's something about it, but you also tend to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like it's not like yes, it's hard. Yes, it's a lot of sacrifice, but you usually figure it out in the end as well. So yeah, I would say it's a very rewarding thing, especially as they grow, as you start seeing them develop and doing things that they're enjoying and they're happy. And I think it's just it's a privilege. And also for me, like in a way, I kind of almost like I guess I didn't realize how much I don't know about growing up like it's almost like for me, and this is like true story. For me, until I had my son, I actually didn't know the extent of things I didn't know about even giving birth, a newborn. And for example, I was even surprised when I saw my son, and I'm like, wait, like I come here as a skin color. I didn't even know that obviously like I'm black, but my son came out wasn't black. I'm like, what the what I mean? I was surprised. Like so something I didn't even know that. Can you imagine that, right? Like I was carrying my boy and I was like, for some reason I guess I thought he was gonna come out black, and yeah, just almost things like that you realize that you don't know. And that's a very simple example. But for me, I think watching my boy also just giving the perspective of just how much you kind of also realize that ultimately you grow up to be an adult, and a lot of things you hold so dear are things you just learn, along the way. And I think for me, also gives me perspective, and I think it gives me empathy where like I judge people less because I'm like, they're like that because of where they were born or how they were raised. Because I just realize how much I'm influencing my son and how I'm shaping his perspective. And yeah, so for me, it's actually just been a very fascinating thing for me where I'm learning so much and I'm just realizing now also how much I don't know because, like I'm watching my boy grow. Like I held him the very first day he was born, and I've seen how, even at 3, like his character is developing, and so like in a way, it's just a very enriching. It's like you get to run your own mini experiment. I mean, not in that sense, but like things you take for granted. I think it gives you really good perspective on just how. Because again, like I almost didn't realize how I got to be the Abby I am today. Like, because people say, oh, when I was 2, I did this. I don't know what I did when I was 2. Like maybe it's just me, but like, I have no idea. So like for me, I almost have no memories of what I was at 2 or 3. I just don't know. So I think seeing my boy now, it just gives me a lot of perspective of like, I guess you have to learn this at some point. I guess, all of that stuff. So, which again, I think has really helped me a lot in terms of like, how I think about psychology, how I think about people and biases and all of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I would say, I think it's a good thing for the world. If you get to raise the kind of humans you want to see in a society, and hopefully that's a good, hopefully you want to see more good human beings and more caring and honest and hardworking and some smart people. And I think I think you get a chance to kind of contribute to that. So yeah, so I would say for me, overall it's definitely been a rewarding thing. Absolutely love my boy. And yes, and even though like some days I feel like throwing him somewhere, just hiding him, just hiding, throwing him away, putting him away somewhere. But at the end of the day, you still know you have this sort of deep love and just deep, deep affection. So, yeah, so I think it is that, yes. Yeah. It's not easy. It's a lot of work, but it's also extremely fulfilling. And I think it just gives you, like a sense of purpose. Like I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and people do things like ketamine and they're like, I don't think about work, and I don't even think about, all I think about my kids. And it just tells you how it's just a very deep sense of purpose that comes with being a parent. And I think for me, I can relate to that.
It's very, very nicely said. You're absolutely right. It's so rewarding, but so much work.
Oh, it is. Yeah. No, that one, there's no shine away from it. It's a lot of work. I mean, especially also, I think Western countries, if you didn't, maybe you have a ton of like support systems and families around and stuff like that. And I mean, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of money too. It's not just work. It's a lot of money. So. Yeah, which is also I think also why some people don't want to have kids because it's a lot of money, it's a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of money. It's all those things.
Yeah, I will say that's one of the good things about having all boys is that they can share clothes, they can share toys,
Oh yeah.
similar interests. So
Absolutely. We got to share. We got to share all those things.
yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much, Evie, for chatting with us today and sharing your story. And congratulations on your second boy. And I hope everything goes really, really smoothly.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chad. Thanks for having me. This is a great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I hope you have a great weekend.
All right, you too.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Parenthood Bites. We hope you found our episode informative and entertaining. If you're a parent in the tech world or know someone who is, we'd love to hear from you. Please reach out to us at chow@parenthoodbites.co, and we'll be thrilled to add your experiences to our interviews. That's chow, CHIAO, @parenthoodbites.co. And to our potential sponsors out there, if you're a business or know of one that would like to support and partner with our podcast, please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can also reach us at chow@parenthoodbites.co. Thank you once again for tuning in, and we wish you a fantastic rest of your week. Until next time, take care and stay curious.